A few years ago, Elon Musk proposed his vision of making our highway systems 3D by constructing an underground network of tunnels built for superfast point-to-point travel. However, since then, we haven't heard too much from the media or the company themselves about the progress so far. So, what happened to the Boring Company? Well, starting off, we actually have seen some progress in Las Vegas over the past year. In May of 2020, the Boring Company finished excavating their second tunnel underneath the Las Vegas Convention Center. This tunnel is part of the People Mover project, which is intended to transport visitors from one side of the convention center to the other. Before this, the first tunnel underneath the convention center was actually completed a few months before, in February of 2020. Since then, the Boring Company has been working on constructing entry and exit stations on both sides of the tunnel. Just a few days ago, we got an update from the Boring Company in the form of a video that showcased the inside of one of these stations. Though there is clearly still some work to be done, it does seem like they will meet their projected deadline of January 2021. Originally, this deadline was put in place to have the tunnels operational by CES 2021, but an in-person CES 2021 has since been cancelled, so at this point, there's really no rush. However, completing these stations will only finish the first phase of the convention center project. The entire project is worth $52.5 million, but we don't yet know exactly the full details of the project, so we'll just have to wait and see what they construct with the remaining cash. Aside from this, the Boring Company has also been able to win over a significant amount of interest from other Las Vegas companies. In June, Wynn Resorts revealed that they're working with the Boring Company on a potential tunnel between their resort and the Encore in the Las Vegas Convention Center. These two hotels/casinos are massive. Wynn Resorts has 2,700 rooms and 110,000 square feet of casino space. Similarly, the Encore has another 2,000 rooms along with a couple of restaurants. So, once Las Vegas gets back up and running, there will be no shortage of people interested in using the proposed tunnel. And it's not just these two either. Resorts World Las Vegas, a Malaysian-owned multi-billion-dollar hotel/casino, is also hoping to work with the Boring Company on a similar project. Resorts World Las Vegas received approval from Clark County a little while back in August. But till very recently, Wynn Resorts was still waiting on approval. They did, however, receive approval on December 1st. Taking a look at the proposed tunnel layout, the first thing you realize is that Resorts World is already super close to the convention center. It's literally across the street. As a result, ironically, the tunnel will actually cover more distance than if you were to simply walk. Nonetheless, the tunnels aren't that long. The tunnel proposed by Wynn Resorts comes in at 0.6 miles, while the tunnel proposed by Resorts World Las Vegas comes in at 0.4 miles. So only 1 mile of tunnel total. With that being said, the proposed tunnels in Las Vegas are no doubt for novelty purposes. The two hotels are likely planning on using the tunnels as a means to get more people to book at their hotels, as opposed to actually providing a super practical mode of transportation. On the topic of tunnel length, the super short length of the tunnels will significantly restrict the max speed that vehicles within the tunnel can reach. As a result, Elon Musk's proposed 100 miles per hour plus speeds will not come to fruition here. Considering that each tunnel is only about a half a mile in length, we'll likely only see max speeds of about 60 miles per hour, if that. Something else to note is that catching a ride on one of these hotel-sponsored tunnels will not be free. The CEO of Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, Steve Hill, suggests that each ride will cost approximately $3 to $5. The tunnels that were funded by the Las Vegas Convention Center, however, will be free, as they were funded by taxpayer dollars. Considering the wealth of the people who generally visit Las Vegas and stay at these hotels, however, they likely won't mind a $3 to $5 fee just to try it out. But these individuals are also likely to have high expectations as well. So I'm sure we'll hear about any potential issues with the tunnel very quickly. Anyways, moving forward, Elon Musk and the Boring Company have suggested some more substantial plans for the Las Vegas area. They're looking to build out the convention center loop into downtown Las Vegas with about 20 to 30 stops within the heart of the city, as well as the Las Vegas airport. Aside from this, looking even further into the future, they're wanting to eventually add an extension to the Las Vegas boring system that connects it to LA. These longer tunnels are much closer to Elon's vision and would actually make more practical sense. However, there doesn't seem to be much official progress on any of these plans. So that's the state of the boring company today. They've been making some progress on building some novelty tunnels, mostly in Las Vegas. But what about outside of Las Vegas, as some projects have been shaping out elsewhere as well, though they're not as far along in the process. One such project is the Chicago Express Loop. The Chicago Infrastructure Trust, or the CIT, have actually been working with the boring company to make transportation between the center of the city and the airport much faster. Currently, the plan entails building a main tunnel between Block 37 in downtown Chicago and Chicago's O'Hare Airport. This main tunnel branches off as it approaches the airport in order to provide specific access to each of the 3 terminals. Unlike the Las Vegas Convention Center tunnel, the Chicago Express Loop will be 100% privately funded by the boring company. Consequently, following the construction, the boring company will actually be given the responsibility of operating and maintaining the system as well. To recoup their costs, the company is charging fares, but they promise that it'll only be half the price of regular taxi/rideshare services. If they are able to reach this price target, the Chicago Express Loop will likely be quite an attractive option for individuals traveling to and from Chicago, as the longer format of this tunnel is expected to allow for full speeds of up to 150 miles per hour. Similarly, the boring company is also looking at a project in LA as well called the Dugout Loop. The Dugout Loop is supposed to provide transportation between either the Los Feliz, East Hollywood, or Rampart Village neighborhood to the Dodger Stadium. This tunnel will also be 100% privately funded by the boring company, and fares are expected to cost just $1 each. Considering that this tunnel will often be used heavily to get to the stadium, the boring company is also offering an option to reserve tickets for the loop ahead of time. Currently, the tunnel is only expected to transport 1,400 people per event, or about 2.5% of the stadium's capacity. However, if things prove to run smoothly, it's expected that the city will allow for up to 2,800 people to use the system each event. Throughout the various events and games every year, the total annual passenger count is expected to be a solid 250,000, or nearly 5 stadiums full. Anyways, those are the mid-level tunnel builds that the boring company is currently engaged in. As for large-scale projects, we do have one major tunnel that is currently in the consideration phase, which is the Washington DC to Baltimore loop. This loop would span about 35 miles, so still not a super long project in the hundreds of miles. But it is much longer than their other projects thus far. Despite this, similar to the last couple of projects, this route will also be 100% privately funded by the boring company. But I don't think that will be a big problem for Elon Musk. Currently, the plan is to not have any branches in the tunnel, and for the tunnel to run straight between the 2 cities. However, the boring company claims that they can add branches at any time in the future. With that being said, the estimated transportation time between the cities using the loop is only 15 minutes. The same trip by car would take you 43 minutes according to Google Maps. On top of this, the boring company is also considering making this into a hyperloop, capable of speeds up to 600 miles per hour. Now, since this is a relatively small distance, the time savings between the regular loop and hyperloop isn't too drastic, but it does nonetheless cut down the travel time to just 8 minutes. This will surely be useful to people who make this commute every day for work. And finally, looking into the future of the boring company, it's likely that they will simply work on similar small to medium-length projects for the next couple of years. This is a passion project for Elon Musk, so it's unlikely to receive the same attention as SpaceX and Tesla. Despite this, we may see the boring company delve into some larger projects in the hundreds of miles by the end of this decade. However, an underground highway system like the visualizations we have seen so far is likely decades away if they do decide to continue pursuing that vision. It may make more sense to simply provide underground solutions for popular routes rather than building entire underground highway systems. But that's just what I think. What do you guys think about the future of the boring company? Comment that down below. Also, drop a like if you guys support creating better public transportation networks in the US. And of course, consider joining our Discord community to suggest future video ideas, and consider subscribing to see more questions logically answered. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.